Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, the review guy, review music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video, and in this one I'm going to be covering the new Oceans of Slumber record, the self-titled one. This is the fourth studio-length album by Oceans of Slumber, a progressive metal, doom metal, and gothic metal band coming straight out of Houston. With the blaze of a considerable level of hype surrounding this record as single after single released and got people really worked up, me seeing numerous people saying they are trailblazers, innovators, just basically this being one of the most anticipated records of this month, it had me intrigued to say the least. Although I did have some concerns walking into this record, particularly because I thought there were a lot of glaring issues with the sound as a whole, which we'll get into. I don't really think their gothic tinge style is one of the most unique to begin with. It's bluesy, it's emotional, the same pull-at-your-heartstrings brand of doom metal that you would get from some sections of Swallow the Sun. It's at times equal parts Neobliviscares and Opeth. A combination of folk music and classical playing. I would say generally the palette of this record is pretty grand. Cammie Gilbert remains to be, and I stand by this and agree with people, one of the greatest female frontwomen in pretty much this entire genre, and that's saying a lot because there's a lot of really great frontwomen in folk metal, doom metal, progressive metal, not to mention gothic. She has such an impassioned, soulful presentation with her vocal style, which at times really does complement the sweeping instrumentation that she hops on top of. But I do want to go over some issues that I have with this record, and I don't think I'm necessarily going to make many friends with this review because I see a lot of people enjoying it. Cammie is so powerful, so beautiful vocally, and yet, I'll just say it, I think the instrumentals a lot of times sell her the hell short. Such as Pray for Fire. Holy shit, this chorus sells her short. And to tell you the truth, the more I think about it, the more I begin to realize how so many of these instrumentals have these little micro progressions that are packed in so snugly and just clash so rigidly from one confusing bit to the next. Oceans of Slumber's biggest enemy on this record are themselves. Number one, this record is quite bloated. Towering at 12 tracks, well over an hour's worth of material. The sweet tones and the constant desire to just swap from these really underwhelming doom metal sections to soaring sections of these classical riffs and soaring vocals gets really tense and not in the good way. Cammie is the best part of this band. The production's pretty good as well. That's pretty much it. Oceans of Slumber does a great job of atmosphere, but they just cannot stop themselves pretty much every single damn track on this record from packing them with these gentrified neoclassical prog sections that just undermine everything that they were doing that was good. So often that it brings on this level of fatigue as this track listing goes on. The first half of this track listing, it's pretty decent. The first two tracks, fantastic, especially the first one. They're pretty gripping, epic, theatrical. It's what I wish the rest of this record would have come off like. They certainly try, they just don't do it very well. Cammie works far better with more hushed, intimate, macabre-sounding gothic tracks. That's just a fact. And that goes for the sections that incorporate that as well, especially in contrast to the prog bits, the doom metal bits, because her vocal style in these very one-note doom sections bash against each other in this really ungraceful dance. Even midway tracks that stick out as potentially being fairly enjoyable, such as To the Sea, which has the inner workings and bass plate of a great track, are just consistently undermined by lackluster production, this unnecessary drone in the first half of the track, and the general concept that feels like this whole track is swelling up to something that just never comes to full fruition. And that's one really noticeable problem. Many of these tracks do not justify their length and just breach so much and overstay their welcome to the point to where it just leaves me scratching my head being like, what is the purpose of this specific track being this long-winded? It is like gray wallpaper. So much is being done vocally, so much is being said lyrically, so little is being done to back it up. So much atmosphere happens on this record that never entirely gets fulfilled, and it just leaves a very ungratifying experience when you have these tracks that are so long, but you're feeling like you're not getting entirely too much out of it because they just are not fulfilling the own promise of their own instrumentation. There are moments where tracks do reach a plateau of some pretty strong emotion, but much of the time time, the cheap gimmicks of this saccharine acoustic guitar playing and slow drum work really wears off and reveals the main fact of why these things have any impact at all, Cammie's vocals, and I can really not stress enough how much she carries this record on her fucking back. Vocals in general have a great range here. The Colors of Grace is downright breathtaking. A lot of that is due to Mick Moss's introduction to this track from Antimatter, but can a really good vocal performance carry a record that is well over an hour's worth of material? I don't think so. You have to have more in the pot to diversify, to be dynamic, to make it sound interesting on its own. Listen, if you enjoy doom metal, progressive metal, gothic metal, this could be a very deadly combination that you're going to get a lot out of. For me though, I just wish there was more to it. There are highlights on this track listing that really showcase some great emotional power. I Mourn These Yellowed Leaves is a great example of that. It reaches just a fever pitch of emotional poignancy, but there's just not enough moments like that to where there's so many bad apples that it soils the good moments, because you're having to sift through these mediocre compositions to get to the moments that really do stick. My main critiques here lie solely in the bloatedness and the execution, and of course there are many branches to those two trees, but you get the point. The creativity is high, the talent is high, the chemistry is high, the orchestration of the instrumentation is perfectly fine, but this album is one of the most this year that has just reeked of so much going on, but so little sticking. I'm going to be giving this album a 5.5 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Have you heard this new self-titled Oceans of Slumber record? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss this record with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.